You know that moment when you open your phone, there's another story about the government saying, we're protecting you. Another story about the rules staying the same. Another story about someone told you, trust the process. But for a lot of people, especially if you're managing healthcare, taxes, bills, the process doesn't feel like protection. It feels like pressure, and it feels like just sit down and shut up. It feels like you're doing everything right and still coming up short. It doesn't just stop at your wallet. It reaches your body, your sleep, your stress. It reaches your family, what you can afford, what you can't, what you're afraid to give your kids. And it even reaches the things you can't opt out of, like the water you drink. Today, I want to talk about something that sounds political, but isn't. It's about trust and what happens when bureaucracies decide they they're accountable to nobody and they have to answer nobody. On this episode, we're talking about Matt Taylor, very likable guy. He's running for a Florida Commission of Agriculture through a simple question: what does his job actually control, and how serious is the candidate about enforcing public interest? Because priorities are easy to say, but enforcement is where you find out the system really values. Priority number one for him is protect Florida's waterways and public health. He's arguing plainly that the agency should be willing to use its authority to stop harmful chemicals by unregistering herbicides when they pose adverse effects to our waterways and human health. And listen, this matters to people who don't have the luxury to treat water like a background detail. If you got allergies, you got kids, if you got a farm where you fish, where you worry about what's in your glass, water, it's not abstract. It's personal. We all need to live.
Hey, why aren't you subscribed yet? And why haven't you hit that like button?
And here's the truth. When regulators tell you something is safe, you're supposed to just accept it. No lawsuits at home, no hearings in your kitchen. Just trust us. So the next question becomes, when the evidence points the other direction, will they act? Will there be consequences? Will they protect the system that benefits from delay? That's why the next part, it's so hard.
Unlike our bureaucrats, the numbers don't lie. The FWC's website says the muck in the fish spawning habitat isn't a result of the aquatic plant management where they spray herbicides in our waterways. The Southwest Florida Water Management District has said persistent herbicide use on Lake Trafford has contributed to harmful algae blooms, a thick layer of muck on the bottom, and has destroyed the fishery. So who's telling the truth here? 2 weeks after the last herbicide treatment on Lake Lochloosa, Eric Castle, Scott Smith, and Scott Wilson went out and collected samples of the algae bloom that appeared on the lake that had caused some fish kills as well. Well, I'll let Scott Smith tell you his findings about the nutrient pollution found in Lake Lochloosa and Lake Orange.
Lake Lochloosa. Wow.
Holy moly.
On July 2nd, 36 times the EPA trigger.
Heyo.
And phosphorus, about 8 times. And this is Orange 5, EPA trigger 1.1.
The Mighty River Warrior recovery is tracking the same kind of nutrient pollution that is caused after herbicide spraying out there on the St. Johns.
We're out here again on the St. Johns River testing the impacts of herbicide applications. You can see all behind me is a massive herbicide spray that's been conducted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Just nutrient pollution as a result of herbicide spraying in these waterways goes up usually by over 500% within the first couple days of this activity. It's phosphorus and nitrogen. They grow these plants, these big giant spray treatments. All of those nutrients from those plants go right back in the waterway.
Did you know Florida's pesticide law says the Department of Agriculture by rule can prohibit the sale of any pesticide shown to be detrimental to the environment or humans? This is echoed on the FWC website when they say their contractors are only spraying chemicals that are registered with the EPA and the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. I'm running for Ag Commissioner in 2026. I'm not going to accept awards from Rodney Barreto. I'm going to use the position to fight for our waterways. Visit treadback.com to see how you can help us save Florida. I'm Matt the Welder, aka Matt Taylor. God bless America, and I really miss Freddie Fender.
As you see, he's focusing. He describes it's kind of the truth management that happens when the public is told one thing, but the real world outcome tells another story, focused on the chemicals and how they can harm animals. And that is the part especially important. I felt like if people are making decisions, you still have to look at the cost up close. Animals don't get to lobby. They don't get to file appeals. They don't get to wait for their next press release. And then he connects it to what most people feel immediately, pollution in our water. So whether you're a farmer, a parent, or just someone who wants dinner that doesn't come with a side of dread, pollution is an argument. It's consequence. And if a bureaucracy can talk like it's protecting you while the outcome suggests harm, then the real issues isn't politics, it's accountability. The second point is right to repair Florida farmers. He argues that equipment manufacturers restrict repairs through proper software, meaning farmers can't end up dependent on expensive authorized channels, instead being able to fix it on their own. It's ridiculous. We make it harder and harder. You know, men want to do these things on their own. We don't want to pay somebody else to do it. We want to do it ourselves. Fourth on his agenda is responsible growth for forestry management. He argues that urban sprawl has outplaced wildfire prevention infrastructure. That means forestry fire stations end up surrounded by residential growth. So his position is basically to reevaluate, relocate, and repurpose when it's necessary, including turning former sites into lease options for local governments. And that's the theme that's running through all this. If the system doesn't follow through, then the choice you thought you made ends up being performative. Nothing gets done. I really like this guy. He's got a lot of important points.
What are you waiting for? Subscribe already!
Now, I'm not asking to be inspired by this person. Just pointing out he's got a lot of good things going for him. He's making a lot of good points, and he's fighting back at these bureaucracies. So I figured I'd let you guys know, about some of these candidates that are going to be running on Tuesday. And I'm a real big fan. It doesn't matter which side they're on, left or right. I'm taking my time to actually learn the substance of people, and I think that's important. We're all in this together, and we're done being managed. Hey, if you watched this all the way through, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about how you feel about candidates, or about Matt. How do you feel about bureaucracies? Do you feel anger, fear, relief that someone finally said it out loud? Drop it in the comments. Like the episode because it helps me a lot. And the comments help too. It helps me get on the algorithm. It's a free way to support the show and share it with someone that you feel like this could be useful for. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God bless.